Okay.
Hey, welcome to another typology interview. We have Taylor of Flow State. How's it going, man?
Good. You?
Yeah, going good. Nice to finally meet you. Nice to have you around.
You too.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit how you got into typology, how you got into this whole mess here? What
All right.
you in?
Well, I learned about it through a continuing education course. I took the MBTI test, and I didn't have a clue what it was. It was just pre-assigned homework. So I did it. Showed up to class, and they had an MBTI practitioner there who did the whole song and dance sales pitch, and she really did a good job of it, and pointing people out of the room and telling them about themselves and telling who packed their bags the night before they caught a plane and who packed a week in advance, and just sort of doing those little typology tricks.
Right.
And that was really impressive to me. So I started looking into it some more, trying to figure out people. At the time, I was in a new management position for work, and I was managing a staff of women, which took a little bit more delicate touch than I was used to. I was also getting divorced and filing for sole custody of my 1-year-old daughter.
Right.
So there was kind of it came at a time in my life where I really needed more tools in the interpersonal tool bag.
Right. Yeah, you were searching for answers too, I guess it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, what were you typed then?
I got ENTP on the MBTI test.
Okay, yeah.
and I assumed that I had people for 2 years. I thought I was ENTP. I insisted on it,
right?
Despite what other people would say, and as proof, I said, "Look, it's right here. It says ENTP," which in hindsight is sort of a censor sort of way to,
right. Yeah, SI even. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Cool, man. So, how did you get into the process of figuring out you were an ESTP then?
So I started learning about it and researching things just kind of in passing. And I ended up bouncing around YouTube. And one of the places I found was talking with famous people. Eric was, I think, the only person on YouTube at the time who claimed to be an ENTP.
Right.
And so I watched a few of his videos. Mostly didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But eventually and this is when he first started doing group meetings and
okay, yeah.
Right. So I dropped into one of those and started talking to him, and the social ball sort of started rolling, and I became kind of caught up in a online typology community. And
yeah,
so
that's pretty cool.
Learn more just by exposure, and then researching it, because I certainly don't want to not know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Eric typed you as an ESTP back then, or when did you accept it on yourself?
Actually, the first time I met him, he did type me as ESTP.
Right.
And I said, "You're wrong. I'm an ENTP," which he was all happy and cool with, because he's an ENTP and I'm an ENTP, and we can be ENTP buddies.
Right.
And that's the way it was for a couple more years.
So how did you finally accept it?
He did. A handful of people had been telling me that they thought I was ESTP for quite a while, and eventually, one of them, her name's Diamond, she left a comment on a video that really got my attention, and it's because all she said is, "You are an SLE." And
socionics, yeah.
Right, socionics. And it was just confident enough and just unexplained enough for me to go, all right, well, walk me through this stuff.
Right.
And she did walk me through socionics.
Who's this?
particularly SLE. And
Who's this that left you the comment?
her name is Diamond.
Okay. Is she in the community? What's she up to?
Yeah, she's in the community. She doesn't have a channel or anything, but
cool.
She'll leave a comment on this video because I'll tell her.
Right. Nice. Okay. And so I guess Damon from your channel, right? You made a channel together with him. So he's also typed as SLE in socionics?
Yes. He identifies as ENTJ in MBTI and SLE in socionics.
Right. So that's weird because you're ESTP in both. Like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So how did you get to starting your YouTube channel? Or is that like the next step in the process, or was there something before that?
Well, in the past, I'd just been on talking to famous people quite a bit. And this was a handful of years ago, but it was just something fun to do.
Yeah.
You know, Eric wasn't trying to make a living off of it or anything. He was just having fun. We were just having fun. And that was sort of, I just sort of fell into a YouTube hobby, I suppose. After about a year or two ago, I went to jail, which was kind of an abrupt cease to making YouTube videos. And then when I got out, Eric's sort of he was doing less group videos, and I sort of had this gap. So Damon and I were talking one time, and we talked before. I've been on his channel, and you know, we've been around a little while, but we just kind of decided to let's do something together. Let's start Flow State, because I wasn't doing talking about famous people much, and he wasn't doing his channel MBTV really much anymore. So, ta-da.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the vision of your channel? Just hang out and talk about typology, or?
That's a starting point, and that's certainly a part of it, but is not a limit to it. We've both got roots and a bit of familiarity in the typology community, but neither of us are feel like that's the end all of life or of what we have to talk about.
Right. Okay. So then you want to go more broad as well, rather than just stick on one topic of typology, sort of thing.
We want to go more broad, and we also, as far as what we do talk about in typology, we try to make it more. I mean, in theory, we haven't made a whole lot of typology videos yet, but the theory is that we make it more applicable.
Okay.
This is typology applied. This is why it's useful. This is why it's beneficial. This is how to get some utility out of it, and steer away from getting bogged down and mind-numbing arguments that can't be won on the internet about, you know.
Right. So
neither of us are down into that.
So how do you interact with other people in the typology community? Like, are you still in touch with Eric and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still interact quite a bit with all of them. I mean, talking with famous people really grew into a community, not just a channel.
Right.
So I still interact with them a lot. I'm active on Discord, Facebook. I just started Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Really. So it's I'm interactive with typology community at large. Sporadically, I'd say. I have waves. I'm doing it, and then I'm not, and then I'm doing it, and then I'm not. But some of the people I've known for a long time, like Eric and some of those people, I don't really consider that. I mean, those people have moved into real world friends, not just.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's awesome. So like that's the sort of like the camp where you started out as, and that's sort of like the camp that you're associated with. Are you also associated with other camps as well, or? Because I know, like, this is from what I'm observing, there's like different camps in the typology community here.
I mean, I've observed the same thing. There are certainly camps. I don't know that I want to plot myself in or out of any camp right now, though.
Right. Yeah. So that can bring us into your functions a little bit. So tell me about your SE and like, so is it like, because like when you're saying you don't want to be a part of a camp, you don't want to be defined as a camp. That's like sort of like your SE saying, no, don't define me. I'm right.
Yeah, it probably is a little bit of FE in resisting saying who I don't want to be defined with.
Right.
And yeah, that sounds right.
So like, tell me a little bit about SE. What is it for you? How does it work in your life?
I have experienced it. I mean, there's the traditional Jungian description of it, which is basically extroverted sensors try to sort of squeeze as much sensation out of an object as they can. The object can be a thing or a person. However, the sort of MBTI spin on it is you look at the black and white data, the concrete reality, and then socionics has the force component.
Yeah.
And I've found all of those to be applicable in some form. Particularly, I think the addition of the force component is really what swung it around into being a recognizable force within myself that isn't there within everybody else.
Right. So like for you, you associate with all three of those sort of definitions that you've come into contact with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. But I think that they all run together to an extent. Obviously, just like everybody else, I'm dissatisfied with the MBTI descriptions of well, most things.
Right.
Sensing in general is a function they do serious disservice to.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, I do, and I think that Jung's definition of sensing, where you try to squeeze out as much sensation from an object as you can, and it naturally evolves into the socionics one.
Yeah, well, I was looking at that Jung sort of contradicts a little bit socionics because, let me see, I have it here. Because he was saying that it had, like, force is something extra. It's not something that's. So extroverted sensation is dependent. Yeah.
I remember there's a line in the extroverted sensation type where he says that he's not aggressive or assertive or
right, exactly,
brute or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like a line, but then he sort of goes on to contradict that statement later or earlier in some of the descriptions. I remember it being sort of contradictory.
Yeah. So he says here, subordinate to the concrete facts of sensation.
Say that again.
Subordinate, like
what is?
What?
What is subordinate to it?
So the SE user is subordinate to the concrete facts of sensation.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that's true. But also, I mean, that's the plane you interact on. So relative to an extroverted intuition user who doesn't interact in the physical reality in the same way, and that's the user is going to be more assertive or aggressive to that other person or from his perspective, because we're pushing different planes. It's like when I hear NE DOMs just go off on a tangent and take it home about some concept that doesn't matter. Whatever. What are you doing? I think it's two sides of the same coin, I think.
So here he says, no other human type can equal the extroverted sensation type. In realism, his sense for objective facts is extraordinarily developed. So apparently you have a very developed sense of extroverted facts. Of objective facts. Would you say that's true for yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So like, do you feel like you're subordinate to those facts? Like you owe it to reality. Like reality is your I don't know, end all determining of things.
I can't lie to myself good enough to convince myself otherwise. I know that I've heard more idealistic people talk about their life in what seems to me like make believe. I mean, they're trying to
Right.
place ideals on reality that aren't there. I can't do
there.
that at all.
Yeah.
At all.
And he does that a lot.
And he does that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that aspect, I would say that I am certainly subordinate to reality. Right. Now there is a little bit of pliability and what aspects of that I choose to apply. You know, if you're an ISTP, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, my relationship with TI and logic is more flexible than yours, so there's a little bit of wiggle room, but yeah, I am subordinate to reality.
So he puts in this feeling too. Once he can get back to tangible reality in any form, he can breathe again. Like, do you get that every so often? Or like you can't breathe because you're far away from reality, like maybe in like a cult like sort of environment, and then you're like, okay, I'm back to reality. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I do. Especially if there's
go ahead.
I mean, a cult would be a great example. I've never really been in a cult, but I've been in churches that were collective enough where it sort of feels like that, like everybody's drinking the same Kool-Aid. And hell, typology community can be like that sometimes.
Right.
Any political movement, really any ideology that people adhere to, on an emotional level. I mean, if I'm around people like that, it gets exhausting.
Yeah. So do you need something to be grounded in reality for it to be acceptable for you to go into it deeper?
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that's not grounded in reality would annoy you, or what would it do?
It's either frivolous or, it's frivolous.
Right. What about like fantasy books and things that are obviously not grounded in any reality?
Well, those are entertainment.
Yeah. There's a
so
disconnection.
I suppose in that,
yeah.
Right. It doesn't have to be entertaining there. And I still think that there's the entertainment stories, archetypes. I mean, these all have certain functions in our life that we don't recognize really actively, but
right.
But when I want things to be real or for a purpose or in a direction or to an end. And for me, entertainment like that is an end in and of itself.
Yeah. Okay. What about like even in that entertainment when something doesn't seem real, like the writers or did something bad? Is that something that you also feel your SE is lighting up on?
I dislike that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and that's exactly why it didn't appeal to me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that TI.
What about you? Is it the same for you?
Yeah, for sure. I could watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and, suspend my SE for a little bit, but yeah, it's nothing I would ever take seriously, Yeah. Yeah, I need that SE. I also need things to be accountable to reality as well. This is sort of like also the reason I'm going into these interviews. I'm asking people about their functions to sort of see how it works in reality and not just take this typology stuff from a book or from an idea that someone concocted. Because I mean, I guess Jung also, he was like working 10 years or 20 years before he was able to write this book, just analyzing people. So he did the same thing, right? So for me, like that's yeah. If it doesn't compare to reality, like then, what are we doing?
So you're gathering data.
Yeah.
To a
In
degree.
some way, yeah.
That's find anything abnormal or surprising so far?
Abnormal, surprising, maybe not, but a bunch of cool ideas have come out of it so far, and maybe I'll actually get around to telling them at some point. But yeah, for sure.
I think one of the misconceptions about SE dominance, ESTPs for sure, and I'm not just talking about myself, but other ones I've interacted with, is that we can't comprehend abstract or sort of NE ideas.
Right.
We can, we just don't, you know?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I've seen with SEs in general, like also ESFPs, is that their level of understanding of things just supersedes any intuitive. Just they had to fight for it. They had to spend so many hours gathering data, figuring out all the points, and really being accountable to reality. But in the end, their understanding like supersedes anyone else if they put in that work. So that's something that I've really seen with SE DOMs so far. So yeah, let's go into your TI a little bit. Tell me how your TI works for you, how you see it in your life.
I see it as like my main weapon, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's not my whole world, but it is something that I use, and I feel like I use it well. And it's how I evaluate things.
Right.
Just like we were talking about, sort of how baseless, emotion-based ideologies wear me down.
Right.
TI is how I evaluate all of my beliefs, really.
So yeah. What about contradictions? Are you comfortable with them? Are you able to resolve them?
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, not really. No. If it's a disruption in my actual understanding of things, then no, I've got a problem with that. If it's not disrupting my actual understanding or decisions, then I don't. For instance, I have, like, personally, ethically, I prioritize relationships over objective, do-gooding,
right,
to a dramatic degree. So I believe that my daughter, I have an obligation to give my daughter diamond encrusted shoes more than I have an obligation to give a homeless person a burger.
Right.
I understand that there's a logical break there.
Yep.
In the value of human life, but it's really something that I'm okay with and that I choose to be fine with. Those are my priorities. They don't have to be logical. Most people's aren't nearly as logical as they think they are.
Right. That's interesting. I'm sure there's some logic there, though. Like, it can't just be all disconnected from logic. There has to be some kind of reason for, as well, I think.
Well, sure. I mean, you could look at it in terms of beta quadra.
Okay.
Us versus them sort of mentality is an easy place to put it. Tribalism, but I think that more people would see that as illogical than would see it as logical.
Have you ever had a problem with other people? I don't know, getting stuck on what they want of you, what they expect of you, and what you expect of yourself. That sort of decision.
Give me an example.
I don't know. Let's say you were going out.
Like we want different things from me.
Yeah, like they want something from you and you disagree, or they expect something from you.
All the time.
And is it something that's difficult for you, or it's something that's just, not a big deal?
I don't mind upsetting or disappointing people in that regard at all. The hardest part for me is to not turn a disagreement into an all-out conflict situation, because I'm very comfortable with conflict and I'm an aggressive personality, and so I need to kind of keep my own irritation under wraps at them feeling like they have enough, you know, a right to tell me what to do.
Right. So you would just like go and chew them outright, like just tear into them if they deserved it.
That's what I'd like to do. I try not to, though.
Right. Okay. Cool. Tell me about your FE a little bit. Are you aware of it? Is it something that's I don't know, present in your life? Something that
it is basically how it's described for ESTPs. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's many jolt surprises from the norm there. I like it when it works. It doesn't do much heavy lifting, though.
No.
No.
Are you able to see?
No.
Are you able to recognize the social values around you, and when you're going against them?
Yes, maybe not immediately, because I forget, especially in a new environment, I forget that people sincerely value things that I don't. Mm-hmm. So, like at my current job, for instance, my bosses I have two bosses in the whole company, and both of them are ESFJs. And so when I started, I absolutely wasn't even thinking anything in terms of ESE values. It's just that sort of FE, SI harmony. That's just not something that I value at all. And I forgot that other people do. And so I stepped on a few toes when I started. I still do step on toes, but
what kind of things do you
intentional
value
now.
What kind of things do you value?
Progress, achievement, efficiency, logic. Efficiency is a big one that I hit some issues with at this new job that I was just talking about. I value the shit out of efficiency, especially in a work environment.
Right. Yeah.
And
same here.
I couldn't conceptualize how they could be okay and actually want this certain amount of inefficiency.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
I can't stand inefficiency. It just
I got so tired of talking about things that didn't even be talked about.
So like, I'll just give an example at my job. So I do some programming sometimes, and it's just that like we have a lot of secretaries and data entry people, and they just spend their days entering data and doing a lot of unnecessary work that if it was programmed properly, we could probably fire half the staff. Like, it's not nice to do that, but if it was actually efficient, we would do that. And I keep telling people, I'm like, just let me program some more stuff and we'll get rid of people. Like, we'll make things way more efficient. Just like, yeah, that's, we don't want to go there. Like, we don't want to fire people. So shut up and go away.
I said the same thing. We've got well, maybe I won't go to specifics, but there's a woman who's a pain in my fucking ass. And I told the CEO, I said, her job, give me 2 months and half her salary, and I'll have her job done in the evenings. But I mean, because all you need is some good infrastructure. You just need some computer infrastructure set up, and then she doesn't need, you don't need her
and she's plugging
this
job.
information and right.
Yeah.
But she's been here for forever.
Right.
So we're stuck with her.
Yeah. But I mean, like, or maybe help her do it better or something. Yeah.
Oh no, she's an awful antagonistic woman.
Okay.
That's why I had the thought, really. It's
yeah. All right.
That was started out of personal territory.
Do you find that you have no problem pushing on people, getting them to just telling them what to do? Is that something that's hard for you to do, or it's okay? No problem.
Not at all. It's
Yeah.
natural.
And do they listen, or you don't even care if they do or not? You just.
No, they do. Yeah, I do it more than I am consciously aware of.
Uh-huh.
And as I've gotten older and become more aware of it, I mean, yeah, they do it. But I'm
Okay.
also able, I'm a little bit more, careful with it. I'm not just running around barking orders at people like I used to.
Right. Yeah. Do you, when you're thinking about your efficiency and your energy levels during the day, do you when does your energy peak? Like, do you go all out and give your all at work and then just get really tired at night, or you're saving your energy during the day? And
At my normal schedule would be I'm a night person.
right.
Lately, especially since it's been so hot and I work in construction, no, by the time I get off work, I'm fairly done.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's get into that NI a little bit. Do you have like this fear of control? This fear of, yeah. Do you have a fear of control? Do you have a fear of people telling you what to do, controlling you, putting you somewhere where you don't want to be?
I don't experience it as an active fear.
Okay.
I mean, that's not how it feels in day-to-day life, but yeah, like a really strong, I react strongly to it.
Okay.
Too strongly, really. So probably it is a fear, but
do you get like paranoid
that.
about things sometimes?
Not, I mean, I do, but I don't think as much as most. I was told by a friend who's in INFJ, and he's Sinjin, if you watch this, he's older, he's wiser, he's studied this stuff more, and he's commented that I'm pretty in control of that inferior Ni for an SC Dom, which I think is cool, and I hope to keep improving on.
Yeah. What about self-control in your own life? Has that been a struggle? Has that been something that you're getting better at?
Controlling my own desires has probably been my biggest struggle in my life. Saying no to myself.
And is it something that you've been doing a lot more lately? Self-control?
I started doing it a few years ago when I was in jail.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When you had to.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really have a choice at that point.
But like, did you see it was a positive effect on you, and you just kept up with it when you got out?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool, man.
I realized that sort of with that, and if you're familiar with Enneagram, it's type 8's vice is lust. And it's not just sexual lust, it's everything lust for more. Kind of had a little bit of awareness that's, you can't fill that hole by shoveling more into it. That's not the right way to deal with this sort of thing. So
I don't want to bring in too many religious sources, but from a religious source, it's called the Sea of Salt, where the more you drink, the more thirsty you get.
I've never heard that phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I like it though.
Yeah. So tell me about your NI. How much do you have to fight to gain those understandings?
Some of them sometimes I feel like I've got a jolt of brilliance, and mostly I need to force myself to stop SEing, because my natural instinct is to just continue moving, watching, just gathering more information and never processing it or organizing it, looking for the next treasure. It's like going to a garage sale, really, all the time. You're just always looking for what's over here, what's over there. So if I make myself stop that, that's really helpful. Meditation is really helpful too.
Oh, meditation. So you were talking a little bit about contradictions in your understanding. Where does that come in your life? Like, is that something that's hard for you to deal with? How do you deal with those kind of contradictions? Do you just go and get more data to figure that out, or?
I'm sort of at a point in my life where I don't have any more contradictions. They've all been ironed out until new information appears. So one of them that jumps out at me that I changed in my recent years was my attitude towards racism in America. I really didn't think it was nearly as big of a deal as it had been chalked up to be until I had my ordeal with the legal system, and I watched how much institutional racism there really is. Staggering.
So you saw it in reality.
And it's there.
Okay. So after seeing it in reality, you had to update that understanding.
I updated it, and now I'm sort of a social justice warrior.
Okay. Oh, wow. Cool, man. Awesome. Is there anything you want to say to people that want to know about ESTPs and your type, or any personal growth advice or anything like that?
Nothing offhand about ESTPs. If you are an ESTP and you're younger than me, try meditating. That's helpful. Other than that, not particularly. You can check out my channel, check out the ACLU, and try to solve our mass incarceration problem.
Awesome. So you'll give me a couple links and we'll put them in the description about your channel. We'll put your channel in the description.
Sure.
And any other links you want to give me about mass incarceration problem, we'll put that there too, man.
Will do.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. So nice to meet you, Taylor, man.
You too. Be good.